Jones?
Here.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Robondo?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Notice of the meeting was given in the following manner. Notice of the meeting was transmitted to the Home News Tribune. Said notice of the meeting and a copy of the agenda were filed in the office of City Clerk on December 16, 2016. And said notice and a copy of the agenda were promptly posted on the announcement board in the lobby of City Hall, 78 Bayard Street, at least 48 hours prior to the convening of this meeting.
Approval of the November minutes. I'll make a motion to accept. Second.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what's the
I said I
question.
can make a motion to accept even though I wasn't here.
Council? All right, that's a motion to accept minutes if he wasn't here. You read them?
You actually can.
Yeah,
You
okay,
actually
I
can.
just want to make sure. Okay. Second.
Second is Commissioner Robondo.
Okay,
Roll call.
yeah.
Commissioner Jones? Yes. Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
I'd like to abstain, I said it earlier, but that's okay.
The chair.
Yes.
Commissioner Robondo?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay. 0.
Okay, go to the resolution.
Sure. Resolution number 30 is a resolution authorizing and approving the payment of bills for the month of November 2016.
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Okay.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Robondo?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
I'm a little confused. Resolution 39, resolution authorizing and approving contract with Manfredi and Palecchio to provide general legal services to the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick.
Make the motion, make a motion to accept.
Second. A question on that, that's the standard contract for the legal services?
Correct, yes. It's an advertised RFP for a one-year period of time.
Yeah.
How many
I
years?
know we got another thing.
We received one response back, that's it.
Other than interest.
No, just one response. Yeah, that was the only response we received.
Okay.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Robondo?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Resolution 40 is a resolution appointing John Clark as the Fund Commissioner for the New Brunswick Public Housing Joint Insurance Fund.
I'll move it. Second.
Any
Any
more?
questions?
Yeah.
Sure, as you know, we are part of the Joint Insurance Fund, which is a self-insured public housing group. And in order to be part of the fund, you must appoint an individual to serve as a fund commissioner. And this is what that appointment is.
Yes, ma'am.
It's required, yes.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
When did they start that?
So it's always been, you have to have a commissioner serve
Yeah.
from a member entity.
No, the joint insurance.
Oh, when did they start?
Yeah.
In the 80s?
Ladies,
Yeah.
right?
I want to say the late 80s,
Yeah,
early
yeah.
90s, they started doing they started formation of it.
Yeah. Basically, it saves us money, right?
Correct, yeah, it's a saving component. I believe there's 71 housing authority members in New Jersey
Okay.
of the 80. So it's definitely a cost saving. It's a self-insured component of the MEL.
Any other questions, comments? Okay.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Robondo?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay. 41. Resolution 41 is a resolution approving the award of contract for the provision of professional risk management services to Alamo Insurance Group.
That's the one we got the memo.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Chair, you need an action.
I'll make a motion to accept. I'll second it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Questions on that? That's gonna do what again, John? I think that's the one you sent us in the email?
Yeah, in the RFP, it's in the email. It provides risk management services, so they serve as our agent for any claims, provision of certificates for insurance, and what have you. They actually serve as our agent, and it's paid for from the joint insurance fund.
Oh,
So we don't actually pay
have
for
to
that.
pay for it.
Yeah, it's basically it's a professional risk management service, so it allows us to make sure that we get the training, we get the, those types of things that lower the actual risk in our insurance component.
Is it related to the joint insurance fund?
It's for the joint, yes.
Yeah, it's part of the same.
Correct, yeah, so the risk manager serves as our agent
Agent,
for the joint insurance fund, so they actually work with us to make sure that any new policies that come out,
Mhm.
any advisories that are done, they're implemented, those types of things.
Very good, okay. Any other questions?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Evando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay. That's 1, 2, 3, just make sure I got my order here. Resolution 42 is a resolution adopting the return state budget for the Housing Authority of the City of Brunswick and authorizing final submission.
This is the,
Make a motion. I'll second, if there's no second.
So Chair, as you know, we had a proposed budget that is then sent to the state. The state goes through its review process. There are any recommendations for revisions or corrections in the budget. It's sent back in its adoption form. So that is now the final form now. It's been approved by the state for adoption by us. Once we adopt it, we will then send a final version back down and await the state's return of that signed budget, which we will then have a budget.
Maybe we can use this language next time, resolution adopting the approved state budget instead of returned.
Well, yeah, so the state, this is the language of the state,
Oh, that's the same.
so those for use.
Yeah,
So,
it sounds
yeah,
like.
it sounds a little odd
approved. Yeah,
because,
yeah, that's
because
what
the
I-
state
yeah.
doesn't consider it approved until they sign it and return it back to you.
Okay, so you have to use the return.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
So it's been returned, we now adopt it,
Okay.
and then we return it to the state. and the
Sounds
state
like
does
it's
the
not
final
approved,
approval.
that's why they returned it, you know?
Yeah, you've already approved the
Yeah.
budget.
budget
So-
first time.
Oh,
Correct.
just the language, I'm sorry.
So how does that again go back to your point at the last meeting about our budget is gonna end as of December?
That was the federal budget.
That's the federal
Well,
budget.
yeah, so the federal budget actually, well,
Okay.
we can go through that, but for purposes of this resolution,
Yeah.
so this is our budget, which is a July 1 to June 30th budget.
Which the state funds.
No, the state doesn't give us any funds.
Oh, it doesn't?
Right, all of our, we're federally funded.
That's what I was wondering.
Just have to be
So why
approved,
they
right.
have to-
Yeah, the state still requires
Has
that
to
they approve our
approve it
budget.
for the,
Correct.
all right, just trying to get the process clear.
Because the Department of Community Affairs is the housing
Yeah.
authority which has to
Under
approve.
the
it.
State
Yeah,
Department,
yeah,
DCA.
yeah, DCA, yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Evando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Resolution number 43 is a resolution approving the 2017 meeting schedule for the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick.
So moved.
Second.
That's
You can review the attached schedule and see if there is any conflict or, you know. Basically, the schedule is the same as,
Yeah, the only adjustments are for the holiday
Holiday.
components or if there's a federal holiday. we can't
Yeah.
meet.
it's attached to,
It was sent out in the package, yeah.
And our annual, when we do nominations for.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, your annual meetings are there.
So, right, same day, but
So it's basically gonna stay the same.
different time.
Correct, yeah, with the new dates.
that's a date, yeah. Any other question on the schedule?
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Commissioner Simpson?
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani?
Yes.
Commissioner Evando?
Yes.
Chair?
Yes.
Okay, motion passed, 5-0.
Okay.
Michael?
Huh?
Mike, I just have a real brief report,
Okay.
Chair. We're continuing to work on the operations and systems updates to create this action plan that we're going to be working on to make sure that we address some of the areas that were identified for corrective action. You saw at the last meeting, we actually did some railings. Those are actually in fabrication right now. We hope they'll begin to be installed within the next 15 days, which is excellent. We'll get them up and running and get them installed. But I want to thank the board for continuing to work with us over the last year, and I look forward to working with the board going forward. I hope everyone has a good holiday and a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any public comment?
Good evening, members of the board, the administration. I'm Charlie Cradville. You know me, I'm the editor of New Brunswick Today. I'm a city resident, and I have a few questions. Did actually want to follow up about the continuing resolution. I understand they passed one. How long does it go till?
So, I don't know if it's signed yet, but I believe the continuing resolution extends funding through April 28th or 29th, at its continued level, with no increase for funding.
Thank you. I heard some things about operations, but I did not hear whether or not the operations committee has met. Can you confirm if they
Yeah,
have
we
a meeting?
met on November 29th, and then we had a second meeting on December 12th.
Okay. And when can we expect to have that full report that was promised regarding the improper parking fines?
Well, the committee would release the report, I suspect sometime probably in January or February.
Yeah.
They would go through the committee then.
And then there would be a full report to the board, or just be in writing, I guess?
Yeah, it would, well, I don't want to speak for the chair, but
It'll
yeah,
be writing, yeah.
it would be a written report that would go to the full board and then made part of, I guess, the public process.
Right, it would be a public document.
Sure, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And, well, I guess that gets me to the Oprah law. And I'm just going to recap some very simple facts. I file a request to obtain travel records. Among the records I received was a record that showed $600 for Ms. Ito White to travel to, I believe it was Birmingham, Alabama. I've asked for some clarity on what exactly that was for, and I also noticed there were no receipts, unlike the other documents I received. So I asked, I believe back in June, Mr. Clark to produce those receipts or explain why they didn't exist or weren't produced. And I'm still waiting for that answer, and believe it or not, this was an issue in the court case, which came to a conclusion on November 14th. Or, well, we thought we had a settlement. We thought we actually had, parsed out all the issues, and that settlement agreement, as my understanding, was sent on December 4th to your council, and it has a provision in there that says that these records for this particular trip, for this particular employee, will be provided within 10 days. Why hasn't your council signed that agreement? Is there a problem with the agreement? Is it going to be signed? What's up with the delay?
May I respond, Mr. Chairman? This is a matter of pending litigation before the Superior Court. Mr. Kravitz is represented by counsel. We're prohibited from discussing this with him since he has counsel in this matter. Any questions will be responded to through his counsel.
Okay, well, my counsel has sent the settlement agreement, and he's gotten 0 response. So, is this something that the authority is going to continue to drag out? Do we have to bring this back to court?
I think he just answered.
Or are you going to sign the settlement agreement that we agreed to?
I am prohibited ethically from discussing this matter with Mr. Kravitz because he is represented by an attorney in this matter, and any dealings must go through his attorney. He is the one that is elected to have an attorney in this matter, and therefore we must deal through his attorney.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, sure. And I was a little concerned after the last meeting. I remember having some words with Mr. Manfredi, and he mentioned something. He said that he believed that they won, that you guys won the case. And while I didn't get everything I wanted, I just wanted to clarify, who was the prevailing party in this case?
I think that's
Chairman.
a discussion between the 2 lawyers. Okay, you have a representative, so I think that should have answered.
Fair enough. I'll just make my point
Okay.
then. My point is that I think if you have an attorney who thinks that he won when he lost, you've got a big problem, right? That is a really catastrophic failure for him to say. He says he's not supposed to talk to me about the case, but after the last meeting, he did talk to me about the case, and he said, "Oh, we won."
So,
We won.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just respond to this. So the decision was rendered in a public courtroom by Judge Francis. The decision speaks for itself. The judge was asked to make a finding against the Housing Authority. He declined. He did not. And the transcript is available to the public for anyone to read the decision.
Okay.
Great. And
Any other comments?
now he's talking about the case. Can he
Yeah,
tell
to
me
be
about
frank-
who's the prevailing party?
I don't want to.
Rick, on
I
that?
just don't want to discuss the case here because as he explained it, it's between the two attorneys. So I think if you have any questions about that case, you should go through your attorney.
Okay, I mean, so when I asked
But you
questions,
can call, you can.
well, when I asked questions, he said he's not allowed to talk about it, but then when I made a statement, just an affirmative statement that needed no response, he insisted on responding and making substantive remarks about it. So I just think he's inconsistent with how he's handling this, he's not clear on what he
No, no,
needs to win.
He didn't respond.
If the prevailing party, if
All right.
I'm the prevailing
Any
party,
other
he lost the
questions?
case.
Any
you
other
know,
comment?
And I think that that's a concern, you should know that you lost the case if you lost. And,
Well, that's what you said, okay, but
and
let's go to the next
so
one.
the next
please.
one, sir, could you please ask Mr. Rodelbron why he has not responded to the Oprah request on November 21st that I sent via email to him and Mr. Clark?
What was this? I'm sorry.
November, the email of November
November
21st.
I'd have to go back and check my email, but if there's a response that we haven't responded to, we'll make sure to respond to that. I didn't know, when was it, Charlie?
November 21, it was about 6 items,
November 21st?
and I have not gotten any response, and it's just like,
I'll go back and check on that. I do apologize, obviously, if we haven't responded yet, but we usually try to at least get back and let you know, but we've been dealing with trying to get the heat on and some other things, but I'll make sure to go look, and I will respond to that.
thank you, I appreciate that, and I just, you know, it's,
So you have time for 2 comments, please?
okay. So, the last 2 things that I would like to know about are the drinking water here. Is there any reason that you won't test the drinking water? Why won't
I
you
think,
test the drinking
I
water
think
here?
we have answered that question at the last meeting. If you have any questions about the water situation, you have to go to the city and request the information.
To the corrupt water utility? that
Well,
folks who are
that's what
getting
you said, I
arrested
didn't
and
say that,
getting
I
in
didn't say
trouble.
that.
Yeah.
You said they are corrupt, so that's between you and the water department. But what we're instructing you to do is, what we're recommending is to go to the city water department and find out the information. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, it's not so much information as a plea for you to please test the water here so that the children and other folks who are vulnerable to lead poisoning are not going to get sick.
Okay.
It's a plea for public health, it's not a request for information. I'm asking you to actually change your policy. You've said the policy is you don't do any testing, it's up to NB Water Utility, the same folks who were endangering the public several times over for the past several years, the same folks who can't get their act together and are being charged with bribery and official misconduct. Those are the folks who you're saying, we trust them to handle our
Okay.
testing.
Okay, whatever you said, I don't know about, okay, so if you're accusing them, just go to them and talk to them. You know, you can't accuse somebody who cannot defend themselves here, okay? So, next comment.
It's not about accusations, it's something that we should all care about. If we drink
No,
the
no, no,
water,
but
we should care. I just noticed lots of bottles of bottled water.
No, no, that
Nobody here is drinking the tap
that I
water, right?
understand, but
So-
you kept on saying they are corrupt, you know, they were bribed and all that. We don't know anything about that, therefore, if you have any comments about
You
that.
need to learn about that. Edward O'Rourke was a man who was the water treatment plant operator for
Okay,
20
okay,
years.
you cannot,
He
okay,
pled guilty to a crime called
Okay.
public corruption. So
Okay.
I'm not making, it's not my term. I didn't
Okay.
say,
next
I
comment,
didn't make it
sir.
up that he's
Next
corrupt.
comment.
The guy who was running the treatment plant for 20 years
Next comment, sir.
pled guilty to
Next
public
comment.
corruption.
One more.
Last thing I need to ask about
Okay.
is Penrose Properties. I understand they sold a couple of their buildings in town. I wanted to know what the cost, what the sale price was, if the authority's aware, and also whether or not they are still in possession of a $1 million plus loan
That
from
we
this
could ask-
agency.
Well, I can answer that question.
You don't know if you gave $1 million loan to Penrose Properties.
When did you find out that? I mean, what loan are you
It's in the
talking about?
minutes from a meeting probably 3 or 4 years ago.
$1
$1.8 million
Most
loan
probably-
to Penrose for that building they never built, the Hoffman Pavilion.
No, 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 no.
Do they still have a
No, no, no,
loan
no,
or
no,
something?
no.
I think you're
No.
speaking, are you speaking about Hoffman Pavilion?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so Hoffman Pavilion actually is an active development component. We have a site plan that's been approved by the city,
Right.
where we've already applied for and continue to apply for tax credits for the development. So there is an active component for that, if that's what you're talking about. I'm not really sure if that's what you're talking
That's
about.
exactly what I'm talking about,
But Hoffman
but
Pavilion,
it's been a piece of flat land for several years, so I understand you're trying to develop something there, but there's no project going on. It hasn't been for years. The building was torn down in 2010,
2012.
2012, okay.
Okay, so, but yeah, so if you're talking, but that number doesn't match with the Hoffman Pavilion. So there was a joint agreement with Penrose to do 55 Harvey, and Hoffman Pavilion. So it's two development components, such as my name said. It's two development components. 55 Harvey was completed, as you know, and is occupied. So I think that's the number you're talking about, because it sounds like you've taken both numbers and put them together. So we may have approved it as a development for the two, which was phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1 was completed and is occupied. Phase 2 is still ongoing, so there's nothing that's.
And I know I've asked before, is there a time frame on that project? I know we all want to see it happen. Is there?
What they're going to do is they're going to apply for the 9% tax credit, okay, which will be, I think, coming in either in February or March at the New Jersey Housing and Mortgage Finance Agency. That's where I can stop, because otherwise it will be a conflict of interest. I can give you that.
Understood. It's good, important thing to be aware of. You don't want to have a conflict.
All right.
Thank you for your time. Have a very happy holiday.
Okay.
I wish you well in the new year.
Thank you. I appreciate your question. Miss, do you have any comments? Okay, all right. All right, we wish everyone.
Would you like to say anything about your husband at all?
I would like to say happy holidays, everyone.
Oh, thank you so much. You too.
All right, thanks, Mr. Crowe.